So guys, today we're back with another video looking at new miners that are coming onto the market. And this one today is the nerdaxe. So we've already seen things like the nerdaxe, which is a small miner with 4 chips, as you can see here. And it has those gamma chips in there as well, so those BitAxe gamma chips in there. It runs off the same OS, but it just has more hash rate on it, so I believe underneath it's 4 chips currently. But today we're coming with a new video looking at the nerdaxe, which is aka the Ocho. So in theory, it's basically 2 nerdaxe stuck together. So you have a chip here, chip here, chip here, chip here. That's what the normal nerdaxe would look like if you kind of split this off. And that would be kind of the regular one. And then they have a second kind of chip here, which you can see if you look, the dark circles connect around through here and then back up into all of this basically. You have a bunch of things here. So you have 2 fan controls. We'll look a little bit into it as we go on. LCD here, which I'm assuming is going to be the same sort of LCD that you have here. This one has 2 fan controls as well. However, I believe they're going to be way more useful or way more utilized when people actually start getting this OCTAXE, because you're effectively going to have 2 of the boards or 2 nerdaxes. And you can see here just holes for the heat sinks as well, and then holes on the outer for mounting. So I don't know what the back of this actually looks like yet, and I'm not sure where the actual file is on GitHub, or maybe it hasn't been released fully yet. But I know that some people are putting them into production, as we can actually see here. So this is what it's going to look like. The fans are going to be here. There's going to be all those components by there. And then somewhere will be the ESP. LCD is here. And then you have effectively the 2 boards that you saw earlier. Using actually a copper heatsink, which is good, because if you buy these with, or if you buy a BitAxe, it normally comes with an aluminium one, and copper is a superior metal for kind of drawing away the heat. I believe that these are going to be 120mm fans, or you can even double up the fans if you really wanted to. You could have even a GPU fan spanning across both of these right here if you had one of them lying around spare. But I don't think that a lot of these are going to be kind of out there in production quite as of yet, because there's not really many people that are actually selling them already or pre-ordering them. The only place that I've seen is IX Tech Crypto. So it might be in very limited supply. We'll obviously try get our hands on one of these, but I don't see it happening anytime soon because they're very, very limited in terms of how much are being sold. As you can see here, it says coming soon, but they've already sold out on them. I don't know if that's actually true, because it does say coming soon, but it also says sold out. So we don't know which one it is. On this page here, you can just see kind of the same things that we were looking at right there. The same picture. Interesting to note on the key features. So let's just read through this. Meet the Ocho, the ultimate 8x BM1370, which is the gamma chip. And I believe that's from the S21 XP or the S21 Pro. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. ASIC Bitcoin miner engineered for peak performance and efficiency with 9 to 10 terahash at 180 watts. That kind of puts the efficiency at 18 joules per terahash, which is not quite as good as the chip is specified for necessarily. I'm assuming that there's some slight overclocks already applied to give it that watts and that terahash, because normally they run at around 15.5 instead of 18. So it might come with slight overclocks, or that might just be tweaking and more watts to be pulled through the fans and the LCD. I don't really know. This powerhouse runs its own custom axeOS, so like the axeOS that you see for BitAxe, ensuring stability, precision, and full control over every mining session. I'm assuming that you'll have full control over the 2 fans as well, because you'd have fan control for one, fan control for the other. Maybe one is getting slightly hotter than the other. In an all-sleek compact form built for pros, designed for ease and crafted to last. It looks about 3 or 4 times the size of a BitAxe, just based off of here. about double the size of a nerdaxe. When we scroll down here, key features: incredible power, compact form, achieves reliable 9 to 10 terahash at 180 watts with standard 120 outlet. Perfect for miners looking for a high efficiency setup without the bulk of Antminers. We've obviously covered a bunch of other things like the Ember one, even the hash disk and the BitAxe, so the smaller BitAxe. And these are all kind of innovations that are coming out. And as I say in all those videos, it's great to see this innovation kind of taken away from the corporate mining world. One major thing that we've seen lately is that Brains actually have come out with their own chip, and they're going to be releasing it, or it's at least in the pipeline, and they're doing some testing on it. So in the future, we could see boards without Bitmain chips in them, and it could be a full production of it in terms of Brains will produce them, and then maybe they'll ship or a certain allocation out to other people, stuff like that. That's the main supplier problem in terms of the BitAxe or any of these open source solo miners, is that the chips aren't necessarily open or available to buy. You have to take them off of existing machines. Runs independently without needing a Raspberry Pi or PC, thanks to the axeOS, simplified, stable, and smooth. Dual fans, so high flow fans, and fan PNW control keep the Ocho running cool. As I said, I don't know if you're allowed to control both of the fans at the same time. And then with adjustable settings and open source support, every detail is crafted to let you tailor your mining experience. So I'm assuming it's going to be kind of like this axeOS layout. And then if you go to the settings, maybe you have kind of 2 fans here, and the frequency and core voltage, maybe you have that set across all 8 of them. Unless you could potentially have it so you can set the frequency for each individual chip. I don't really know how they're going to do that. Obviously, not a lot of people have actually got this running. And we'll kind of have to see when people actually get the allocations, or they actually get them, to see how that functions in terms of the axeOS. So one thing that I wanted to note is this is kind of getting up there in terms of the hash rate. So we have 9 to 10 terahash at 180 watts. There is the Avalon Nano 3S, which I believe does 6 terahash, and that runs at around 140 watts, which is actually way less efficient than this right here, because I believe that they're using different chips. However, that is closed source, but if you're looking into smaller Bitcoin mining with profitability, obviously we know the BitAxes can't really produce reliable profitability, let's just say. It's maybe 1 or 2 cents per day, and that's not really feasible. But with this price tag, £650, which is probably $720, you can actually make some profitability. Depending on the power cost, we have ours at 10 cents per kilowatt hour. This is one of the things about BitAxes, that nobody's really going for profitability. They're just going for that solo block. But you could turn it into profits. When you start getting into a certain amount of chips, that's when people start focusing on profitability. Of course, with Bitmain miners, not many people are solo mining with them. They're going for more profitability. As I said, 10 cents per kilowatt hour. You have the hash rate at 10 terahash. You have your watts. It's going to be 180 there. Miner fee, I'm not quite sure if there would be a miner fee necessarily, but a pool fee there definitely would be. So you can put 0 there and then calculate it out, and you can make around 10 cents profit. So you can reliably stack a bunch of sats per day, and that number of sats is 569 per day overall in revenue, and in profit is about 104 sats per day. So even if you wanted to stick it onto a pool, maybe mine something else, solo mine something, we do have estimates down here. So you have around this much percentage of the network, and you'll have a 0.00018 chance of finding a block in a day. On average, you'll find 1 block every 554,000 days on the current network hash rate. So that brings it down to around 1,500 years. That's your calculated on average luck if you were mining on the network. So in theory, you only need around 1,518 of these on the network to find a block every year out of one of these, which is a dramatic drop, obviously, from stuff like the Gamma or the Supra, they're up in the 12,000 year range, even 18,000 for the Supra, and then I believe it's 30,000 for the Max. But this kind of brings it a little bit lower in terms of the chances, and people might even stick it on something like a Bitcoin Cash, just because the estimated time is going to be lower. So we're on Bitcoin Cash here, same calculator, 10 terahash, 180 watts, you would earn this much Bitcoin Cash, but that doesn't really matter. We're more focusing on one block every 2,144 days. So you're looking at a block every 5.87 years, which is not bad in terms of the odds of it. You would only need around 6 of them on the network to hit a Bitcoin Cash block every year, on average, obviously, and that's just probability. So overall, I think, one of the main things that we need to see in terms of the open source mining community, this is all great. All of this innovation is great. By no means am I kind of taken away from the fact that it's kind of decentralizing the Bitcoin network more, but we do have to move away from the Bitmain chips at some point, because if you continue to build this out effectively, you're just losing money. Let's say you double this up and you have 16 chips, or you have 32. You're effectively just losing the money at that point, because you might as well buy a Bitmain ASIC, because you'll have way more chips and it'll be at a lower cost. So there is a flip side that not a lot of people talk about, is like you can keep pushing these very high in terms of the chip count on them, but at some point it's just more beneficial to buy a Bitmain Antminer. And not a lot of people actually care about the open source factor of it. They just want to hit a block, and they don't want to pay a lot of money to hit a block on the network. So as I said, I think it's great that this is happening, and I think in the future, with new chips that are coming in, or at least exploring new chips, you can take all of these designs that we have previously seen and apply it very easily to different chips. So for example, that Brains chip, I'm assuming that it would only take a little bit more tweaking around here, and then you would add, a different chip in there, and hopefully that would run, even if it's at a lower terahash to start. I think people, at least hardcore open source miners, would want a chip from Brains, or they'd want a different chip other than Bitmain that you could actually buy on the open market. So let me know your thoughts about this, if you're going to be getting one. I haven't really seen them apart from on IXTech, but let me know if there's any other websites where you can get one, and we'll try pre-order one for the channel. Make sure you like the video and subscribe for more content like this.